Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Coach's Corner. It's Monday, February 17th in the year of our Lord 2025. Sorry about the late start. We're working on our technical difficulties, as is often the case here. Before we get started, I have to talk to you about the Harbor Group Planned Wealth. If you have questions regarding your monies before you retire, call the Harbor Group at 765-393-1074. They will hook you up. They will tell you how to keep your money while you retire. They've got all kinds of great people to help you answer all those questions. I was a client of the Harbor Group before I moved to Texas. They're only able to operate in Indiana, so I would have stayed with them if I could. But Jessica Rhodes is the vice president. I just gave you her phone number, or you can email her, Jessica, spelled the normal way, at Harbor Group, HARBER group.com, or you can visit them in person down in Anderson at 12 West 13th Street, or always email. Visit the website, harborgroup.com. Got a great show in store for you tonight. I don't think the guys can hear me, but I hope you can. If not, I'm just talking into nothingness. We'll find out right after this.
Medicare plan.
Coach's Corner with Coach Heck and the infamous Coach Patrick King. You're stuck with me, man.
I'm stuck.
You are stuck with me. I ain't going anywhere.
There's a lot of people that are jealous of me for sitting here, and there's some people that there's a little sympathy going on at the same time.
There's more people that are sympathetic to you. I'm just saying that much right now. Just remember what Ron Hecklinski said today. And you ain't that good. The scouting report said you were pretty good. You ain't that good. Oh, man. Are you kidding me?
Coach's Corner with Heck and King is sponsored by Tony Letcher with Health Markets Insurance, Han Funeral Homes, and Frick's Driving School in Mishawaka. For those of you on YouTube, make sure to comment in the chat, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. Please and thank you. Now here's Heck and King.
Hey, welcome on this beautiful President's Day, Monday, February 17th. Rather cold outside, boys.
It was a little chilly today, wasn't it?
I got the great Pat King to my right. To Pat's right, we got the president, owner, operator of BroadcastSport.net, Mr. John Overmeyer. Johnny B. Good is joining us today. Long time no see, man.
Hi, guys. Glad to see you. Glad to be back, and great here to be at the Linebacker. Obviously, one of the great places that we have here in South Bend, and we're here to have a great night of Coach's Corner with a lot of great information with two of the best, Hall of Famer Ron Hecklinski, and of course another pillar of the community in Pat King.
Well, so again, we are pillars of the community.
You are, absolutely.
We're not slaps.
No more slaps. You're just pillars of the community.
I like that.
John's been so busy. He's now an administrator at one of the local high schools here, and he's been too busy to with his after-school obligations.
Okay, John, I will pray for you.
Please.
I will pray for you,
I need
John.
all the prayers I can get.
He's an administrator in South Bend. He needs prayers.
No, I think what's going on in South Bend, man? Are they looking to fire the superintendent, or
I got a feeling
what's going on?
I think that could be coming on Wednesday night. Yep, I think that's coming.
Is there a reason? I mean, does anybody know?
I think.
Is it about that snow day, or
that was that snow day a week or so ago when we had all that ice? School corporation was the only one open in the area, and also some other things that have kind of gone on that have been being investigated. And I think the school board's looking to maybe say
make a move.
Make a move, and maybe it's time. You know, he's been here a while. Maybe it's time to move on and try to get somebody else.
The new people had an agenda. It was. They came in with an agenda, and people voted for them, and they're after it.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily. If it's deservedly so, then I don't care if it's the new people or the old people. If he's deserving of it, and if he is the only person that did not call school off on that ice day, and indeed there were some bus issues and runoffs and slide-offs and putting the kids in jeopardy, then so be it, right?
Exactly. And I think that's what they're looking at. I really do. Kid breaks his wrist at a high school. all the buses. We had 24 slide-offs. We had some minor accidents. Nobody was hurt, thank goodness. But there's a lot of people upset, and I understand the school board received a lot of calls from parents and other concerned taxpayers that happened, and I think the pressure was put on the school board to maybe make this move. We'll find out Wednesday night at the regular meeting.
You got to remember now, these are still the same people that went home for COVID, so they're used to staying home. I've been in South Bend here, 20-some years.
So who's used to staying home? What are you talking about?
The parents of these kids, you get 2 inches of snow, we're staying home.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Now, we're in school. It took us 2 feet of snow to be out of school.
Yeah, but it is a different day, and I err on the side of caution.
Right.
I mean, I really do because look at that was an ice storm and that was an ice day.
Right.
And when every school in the area is off. And
now almost every school.
Well, I think almost, as I looked at it, almost every school was off or 2-hour delay.
It was either delay or off.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And when you're talking about, and I get that because years ago, 12 inches of snow, we were buckling up our boots and zipping them up and walking to school. And there was nothing to think about. The blizzard of 78, we had days off. But that was a blizzard.
Yeah,
that was a blizzard.
That was 50 years ago.
But I do say when it's bad weather, you err on the side of caution. And if everybody else is doing it, then I don't know why you wouldn't do it.
I can tell you one reason. In South Bend, you've got a whole different clientele of people, and previous administrations, when I was teaching there 20-some years ago, they just told us, we're having school. We're having school. And the main reason is if you call off school, if you even have a 2-hour delay, how many different families have to make plans? It affects the economy because you've got all these parents that have to call in sick because they don't have a babysitter.
No, as we said in the 70s, I dig that.
I understand.
But it happens at every school corporation, though. It's not like all of a sudden the South Bend School Corporation is the only one where families are inconvenienced.
Well, I know.
They're inconvenienced everywhere.
In the past, the president has been said, I flat would tell the kids, we're having school. I can guarantee you, we're having school. We're not even going to have a 2-hour delay. You, as a family, decide whether you want to stay home or not. You just write down bad weather, and so they excused them. And that's how it worked.
And attendance in our building was awful.
It worked.
We probably had 20%.
Yeah, it worked like that for as long as I can remember. Now all of a sudden we've got people where the 2-hour delay has been instituted. So it's like they opened up that can.
Yeah.
So now they know it's available. So I'm not saying right or wrong, but I'm just saying in the past, South Bend went to school.
Well, yeah, but so here's what I say. With you telling your students that and making that decision, why don't you run for the interim superintendent?
Yeah, that's going to go well.
I'm going to put your name.
I'm going to throw your name in the hopper.
Go ahead. Oh, they'd love me.
I'm just saying.
They'd love me.
But
because I would say, we're going to school. And if you don't want to go to school, call school. Okay. Call school. You're keeping your kid home.
Okay, but that's why the superintendent's in a mess now, because that's what he said.
We're sending buses.
And everybody else.
But you just know that ahead of time. I know. I'm just saying,
man. But anyway, so
there's something else going on. This is just an excuse.
So Wednesday they're having a meeting.
5:30 Wednesday.
Okay,
that's just a regular school board meeting.
But that has been added to the agenda. That has been added to the agenda. Yep.
All right. Well,
the fancy terms now that you have to use the word transparency.
Oh, yeah.
That means everybody wants to be involved. Okay, you elected these people. Shut the hell up. Let them do their job. That's like department head meetings at school and your teachers' meetings. You tell those teachers, shut up so we can get through this, right? And then you have a department head meeting and they make the decisions. But you've always got those 2 or 3 people that have to talk just to be heard.
We have a visitor.
So
Sweet Monica is in the building
with a headset available.
That's right.
Sweet Monica.
No, she was on back in the fall. Remember, we had her on during.
We had her on. Yes,
that's right.
That's right.
So tell me about your trip.
Okay, let me apologize to our listeners on why we begin this with the South Bend Community School News. I apologize. You don't want to hear that. One of my friends that I hang with on Saturday mornings lives in Chicago, and he listens to our show, and he heard the interview with Kenny Valdesari and the Bears. He said, beautiful heck. He don't want to hear about South Bend Community Schools, but I'll tell you what he might want to hear about is Ferris Bueller or Ronnie Hecklinski's day off and a trip to Newcastle. And the reason I had to take a trip to Newcastle today, I went down to Indianapolis last night and stayed with my daughter. My son Aaron went with me, and we went down to Indy because my daughter had an Anderson. My daughter had an Anderson basketball jacket that I had, red and green. It's beautiful. It says Coach Heck on it. And the Newcastle Hall of Fame people wanted some of my memorabilia so they can build these cases, because what they do is anybody that goes into the Hall of Fame, they build a case for him as you walk into the Hall of Fame. The cases that I saw from last year, Dan Dockage had one, Pete Smith, they're beautiful. They have just so much memorabilia in them that the candidate or myself would take to them. And I don't have any more days off at Mishawaka because when I broke my neck, I had to use them all.
Right.
So we were not in school today. So I said, I'm bringing stuff down today. And I did. And they were there. Bugsy and I walked around and we saw so much stuff. That new addition into the Hall of Fame is absolutely amazing. And I mean, we had a great time. As a matter of fact, Johnny, be good. They had a section for the Clay Colonials there.
Yeah, and we were donating after the school closed. We took that 1994 state championship trophy and donated it to the Hall of Fame. I made sure that got to the Hall of Fame because that needs to be celebrated.
Well, there was a chair from the gym, a Clay Colonials chair down there. There was a bunch of other memorabilia, and it was really, really cool. The additions that they made to the Hall of Fame with the newer wing that they have now, it's absolutely amazing. And Aaron and I spent, I don't know, an hour going through the place, and just amazed. And Aaron he's a throwback, man. He is a throwback, and we found some stuff of mine that they had already put in there, and it was really cool. So when on March the 19th, that's the induction day. You're going, right?
I'm going. I need to get my ticket
You got to
organized
get a ticket.
and tell them where I want to sit.
Yeah, just tell them you want to sit by Hex people.
Okay.
But you got to get that ticket. And if you want to stay overnight, I got an extra room. Bugsy's going to stay, and there's room if you want to stay overnight.
Okay. Good to know.
In a hotel. Not a tent, in a hotel. But so on the 19th.
On the south side of Indianapolis?
No, this is downtown.
Okay.
This is downtown.
Okay.
But on the 19th, then me and my family, or whoever wants to go, you could go, anybody could go. There's like a ceremony at the Hall of Fame Museum itself at 11 a.m. And that's when they unveil all of these areas. When they unveil all these areas of the memorabilia, they unveil your caricature that they put together, and it's really, really, really cool. And so that takes place from 11 to 1 at the actual museum. And then, I would go back to my room in downtown Indy and so we got to wear tuxes. So I got to get a tux, and then I got to be at the Primo Banquet Hall at 5 p.m. So that's kind of the day there.
Okay.
And then afterwards,
you get to go back over to you're going back over to Newcastle, right? They start the day in Newcastle. You probably
start the day at the Hall of Fame Museum at 11 a.m. And then after the banquet, after everybody talks and all that stuff, then I am staying. I think Dave McCullough's staying there too with his family at the Holiday Inn on West Street. And there's a bar open till 2 a.m.
Well, you two, that'll bring you back 40 years ago from when you two were partners in crime.
Yeah.
You were at what, Richmond together?
Do not get me to start talking stories, okay?
That's a good point.
Me and Dave are too close. We're too close to going in now. We can't talk stories. Now, that night, we'll have some great-ass stories, but not now.
There's still that margin where they can pull the plug on this, maybe?
They could say, hey, Heck, we just heard about this, man. You ain't going in, man.
No, I was just talking about that you two actually were coaching together at Richmond, right?
Oh, we lived together. We coached together. We went to Manchester College together. It was me, Dave McCullough, and Bill Zick. We were college roommates. Bill Zick had just a phenomenal career at Pike High School, and Bill Zick at some point in time here shortly will be in the Hall of Fame also. But the fact that Dave McCullough and myself And then two Anderson legends, Troy Lewis and Jimmy Shannon.
Right.
Who you know?
I know Jimmy. Sure.
Yeah, and the fact that those two guys are going in at the same time is amazing to me. And then my two childhood heroes, Lloyd and Floyd Kerr, who went to Washington with my brother Mike, and I was 8 or 9 years old, and I remember the team: Lloyd and Floyd Kerr, Bobby Johnson, Tommy Itchy Nowicki, and I was Lloyd and Floyd Kerr at Vorty Park every day, when I was playing by myself. And to say that my name is associated with Lloyd and Floyd Kerr is amazing, because Lloyd and Floyd Kerr were amazing basketball players that went to Colorado State and just had tremendous careers. And I'm so sorry that both of them have passed away, because I would have loved to have seen them.
Sure.
Yeah, and then Greg Humnicki, he's going in on some kind of special award. So Bob Berger. Yes, Bob Berger, the ex-coach at South Bend Riley and just a legend in South Bend basketball, and Greg Humnicki were park directors at Vorty Park when I was 10 years old.
Back in the day, right?
Yeah, and so for 6 years I had Bob Berger and Greg Humnicki. So how I developed as a person is totally, on Bob Berger and Greg Humnicki.
Is that right?
And I tell those
Should we
guys.
tell them that?
No, I tell Bob Berger, he got the good side of me, and Humnicki got the bad side of me, man. But that's
Well, his two kids turned out okay too, didn't they?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. No, Bob's kids turned out great. We got one of them sitting here with the great Rob Berger, man.
Robbie taking
Berger.
notes on how this Hall of Fame stuff works for the
Well,
future here.
he needs to. He's getting to those. His numbers are getting where they need to be. And one of the things that we're going to talk about, Rob, is his players, the players that he's churned out, and that is a big thing with the Hall of Fame also. So, anyway, that's Ferris Bueller's Day Off today, and it was just a great trip. And the things that they have there are amazing. So they take the last year's inductees stuff down right before, and they put us, our new ones in these big cases. So when I went down, I saw Jimmy Webb's display today. You should have seen all the material on Jimmy Webb, all the box scores, all the pictures, and it was amazing to me. And I grew up in the Jimmy Webb era, and I watched him. I played against him at Steppen Center all the time, and all the things that he accomplished. And my only question on the whole deal was, what took so long to get Jimmy Webb into the Hall of Fame?
Yeah,
and you were there at this induction with me.
Right. And what if he would have, not gotten cancer? Would he have been? What kind of a college player could he have been? What kind of a pro player might he have been?
Well, he played at Cincinnati, and then he played at
Was it Pepperdine?
I want to say he played at a college out in California, and then when he was 30-ish is when he came down to cancer. But Jimmy Webb, you talk about the lore of South Bend basketball. Jimmy Webb's name is always at the top, at least according to me.
Well, and see, I was in a different area of the state. Matter of fact, the only connection I had with Jimmy Webb was the state finals in '73 when South Bend Adams played Anderson.
Yeah,
and he was
exactly.
He was a name on the scouting report.
Jimmy Webb, Booney Hill,
Yep,
Steve Austin,
right, Peanut Head. Ashby.
No, Pinhead. Yeah, Daryl Ashby, Pinhead, Daryl Ashby. And then Val Martin, maybe.
Val Martin was an all-star the next year. That team they had, I think they had an all-star 3 years in a row.
Yeah, no. I mean, Dave Hadaway and Bob Berger and George Leonakis and Bob Donewald at that time at St. Joe and Don Coddens at Riley. Those guys were such great coaches. And basketball to them, as Subby Nowicki at Washington and Tommy DeBates at Clay, and those guys, basketball was their life and livelihood.
Right.
And Rob why don't you put your thing on, Rob? And Rob can attest to that, because Rob was growing up with your dad, the head coach at Riley.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you lived that time period, and you lived when all those coaches, I mean, there wasn't any, it was pure ball back then. There wasn't people messing around.
And you forgot Steve Austin at St. Joe as
Yeah.
well, which was in my era
Yeah.
as a player. You know, I don't know if he's in the Hall of Fame, probably should be.
He's not yet. No. But when your dad came home, or when your dad had, there were no summer workouts in the gym. They all went to Steppen Center and sat on the hill, and all their players were playing. But there wasn't any messing around. Kids, Ricky King and T.D. Sheldon and Turk Chambliss, they wanted to be players, and we didn't. And when I say we, it's not me, because I wasn't coaching then, but your dad and Leonakis and all those guys, they never begged those guys to play.
No. And actually, Don Coddens was the coach at Riley, and the guys you mentioned, the Riley guys you mentioned.
Yes.
He was the head coach at that time.
Is that right?
So,
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad would have been with Leonakis and Griffith at LaSalle during the names you mentioned.
Yeah, so what a staff that was. At LaSalle, right?
Yeah.
George Griffith,
Griff went
Leonakis, and your dad.
Well, and then Steve Bennett, who went down to Franklin
Yes.
High School. He was the coach.
He was
then
the
when my
coach
dad
for
got
them.
the Riley job, Mark Johnson replaced him
Yeah.
on Griff's staff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now, Griff will remind me, because Griff was on Hadaway's staff at the state finals.
Correct.
And before he went to LaSalle. And he reminds me every time I'd see him, he says, you make sure and ask Hadaway which one of the two of us has a state championship at Adams. because Griff won the state in golf in 73 with the golf team.
That's Griff talking some
That's
stuff.
just Griff talking crazy. And then when the LaSalle job opened, that's when he left and went to LaSalle.
Yeah.
Late 70s, in time for Magley to come through.
Yeah, he would have left then. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember when did Leonakis was at LaSalle?
Well, he was at LaSalle. Then he became the Elkhart Central coach
Yes.
because he left to go to Elkhart Central.
When
Then
they
he
opened up
ran
two
some shop at the Blue Chip Casino there later in life.
Gee.
Yeah.
So
Some Greek restaurant, I think, is what he ran.
When did Elkhart Central, they split in 72 or 3, I think. Because when I was a senior in 74, we played Memorial in the semi-state.
Okay.
And I think that might have been their first year. Now, who was the first Memorial coach? Was it Smith?
No, Tom Firestone.
It might have been. It wasn't Steve Johnson, but he was pretty
right.
close.
Ron Smith was a player.
He was a player, and
'cause
Jimmy
he was on that team.
and Powers was a player. It might have been Jim. No, I think it was Firestone.
Might have
It
been.
was Tom Firestone. What a great guy Tom Firestone was, man. All those names back from the day. And who was the coach in Marion then back then? Was it Don Dubois?
In the late 60s, yeah.
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 It was John Sabalskis for a while, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think he was the first ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and then, of course, Lightfoot then comes in and,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And then like 400 wins later, Robbie Berger's been there all that time, man. Just
I'm the only guy that stays there longer than like 5 years. I don't know what's wrong with me.
well, no, I know why you stay there because from a financial standpoint, you're still working in the South Bend community schools.
Correct.
And all your benefits and all that stuff, which is wonderful for you.
Yeah.
And you can go to Marion every day and coach it up. Coach hoops. All right, so that's back in the day. That's nostalgic. Hey, John, do you want to throw any nostalgia in there from back in the day?
Let me interrupt you real quick. Scott did a fact finding for us. He said that Webb went to Cal Poly. I said Pepperdine.
Yes.
And he looked it up. He said he was at Cal Poly after Cincinnati.
Yeah, Jimmy Webb was a star. He was a star. And if you mention the names to your dad, Kent Allison from LaSalle, Kent Allison, he was, that's when Pat Magley was playing at LaSalle. There were so many. My wife in the background was going crazy because she's a LaSalle Lion. She's a LaSalle Lion.
Here's more trivia. Kenny Peterson. We got people, our listeners are helping us out
Okay.
here. According to Kenny Peterson, who was a LaPorte newspaper man at the time, Jim Powers was the first coach at Memorial, 72, 73.
There we go.
Was he at, where was he? He was at
Central. He was at South Bend Central. Yeah, he played on Johnny Wooden's
Yeah, he
team.
played on Johnny Wood's
Yeah.
team at Central,
That's the stories I get.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Powers told me a story one time. We did a 100 years celebration long time ago for 100 years of South Bend basketball, and we were broadcasting the celebration before we did the game that night. And Jimmy told me a story that they would practice in the first thing in the morning, but the guys would want to go back and have the hot dog stand on the way home or on the way back to school. And Wooden says, "Don't you do it. If I got to go back and teach first hour English, I expect you in your first hour class, and I'm going to check. Do not And I mean, do not stop at the hot dog stand on the way back.
Yeah,
It's a
well,
great story.
They practice at the Rockney Center,
Yeah,
right?
they did. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, and well, I mean, Anderson had that hot dog circus
Yeah.
building right across from the
Cunningham.
school too,
Yeah,
right?
At Cunningham's Hot Dog Circus,
Yeah,
right down the railroad tracks on John Street.
yeah. No, the kids. And when I went there before practice, they'd say, "Hey, coach, we got to go get taped. We got to do something." And they're heading to the hot dog circus.
they're down,
we put the kibosh on that quick.
down the ramp and
Quick.
down the ramp and down
Yeah,
the railroad
and
tracks.
how I knew that they had ketchup on their shirts and stuff and mustard. I'm going to stop.
All you had to do is call Ed or Ruth. They would have
Yeah, no,
told you.
they got ketchup in the trainer's room. Stop.
Right.
All right, so no, it's great to have Kenny on. So any facts that we need, we can jump to that. But now, talking about your tenure at Marion, and when I looked at the footage of those three players getting their jerseys retired, you're talking about a program like a DeMatha or in Chicago, Mount Carmel, or some of those places. When you look at the number of kids that are coming out and playing professional basketball, I mean, so like my first year at Anderson, we play Mount Carmel. The starting forward is the starting forward is Antoine Walker. The starting guard is Donovan McNabb.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I think we beat them.
No, they beat us in overtime.
Probably coaching, but I
Yeah,
thought we
no,
had
it was
to beat
coaching.
it.
Yeah,
I turned it over to you with 2 minutes left.
You were student teaching, right?
Yeah.
Weren't you the student teacher?
No,
That had nothing to do with that one,
he
yeah.
wasn't student teaching. He was
I was
teaching.
teaching. I was teaching.
Were you teaching?
Teaching at Northside Middle School.
That's right. You were at Northside.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talk about the specialness of having those three kids in your program.
Well, first of all, that night, and I'm usually against all the hoopla games. I just like playing the games. I think that should be the big deal. But that was one of the neatest experiences. It's jam-packed. I mean, we didn't need it. St. Joe Marion's always going to pack a gym.
It was Friday night, right?
But that just added probably a few more hundred people when you had those guys in there. And
You could have used a bigger gym, couldn't you?
yeah, we probably could have had it at Notre Dame. We probably would have been okay.
Yeah, that'd been a good night to have it at Notre Dame.
Yeah, but those guys, you talk about putting a program on the map. I mean, we could sit and argue, before Demetrius got to Marion,
Right.
that arguably could have been the worst basketball program in Northern Indiana. I mean, you were at Adams at that time. I was at Mishawaka at that time.
It was a win.
Yeah, it was a bye.
Yeah, it was a bye.
Pretty much. And then when he showed up, it was, everything immediately changed. Then it became okay to be a basketball player and come to Marion, which
Yeah, because Marion was a football school
Yeah.
at that time.
yeah, I mean, it was just an automatic win when you went over there. And
Yes.
then you added him, and there was a few guys with him that we had a kid named Robert Mishler who played at Cornell.
Right.
So
right.
actually, no one ever talks about him. He was a Division I player out of there.
Wow.
We had a kid named Drew Hassler, who was our big guy, who got up to AA in the White Sox organization. He played baseball at Valpo. I mean, his dad was the bullpen coach for the Chicago White Sox for years.
Right.
We don't have to discuss the White Sox, but he was the coach there. So we had, and then a year later, that's when Devin Canaday comes in. And we win the regional.
They overlapped a little bit, didn't they?
2 years.
Okay.
They had a 2-year overlap. Got beat by Norwell in the semi-state down in Huntington. And then, Demetrius graduates. But really, I mean, Demetrius kind of made it okay for basketball players to come to Marion because it wasn't. It was a football player.
So what was the specialness, or why did Demetrius go to Marion when he could have gone anywhere? Was it his family? He was a John Young kid, right?
No, he was a South Bend kid.
Oh,
at the time.
okay,
He went
okay.
to LaSalle.
Demetrius went to LaSalle.
Okay. And then why did he go to Marion? I mean, that's the
Well,
question.
Around that time, he became a foster kid, and that's when he went and lived with Dave and Beth Whitfield. And
Right.
bless Dave's heart, he died around Christmas. He was only a year older than me. He had a heart attack, and
That's right.
he started living with them, and they had a son that was the same age as him, and all the Whitfield kids and all the adults all went through Marion. So actually, his 8th grade year, he was at Jimtown Middle School.
Really?
I remember that.
It was at Jimtown Middle. So he went to LaSalle for a little while, and then, he kind of got moved around from foster home to foster home, and he was an 8th grader at Jimtown. And Randy still thinks, they had a pretty good team,
Yeah,
and you
the
had
show
him
was
to the
pretty-
mix. That's a 2A state champion team
Yeah.
right there.
Yes.
But, then he threw MBA, Rod Creech, he started playing with them and befriended, the Whitfield son, and he went and lived with them. And there was that's where all of them go to high school, is Marion.
Was he a stone cold player as a freshman? Did you know when he came in as a freshman that he could have been this?
Now, I didn't get to Marion until his sophomore year.
Oh, okay.
So his sophomore year, so he played
Who coached him his first year?
Tim Barwick was his name.
Yep.
Tim Barwick was his name. And I think they won 8 games, which, believe it or not, that was the best in about a decade.
I played college basketball in Manchester with Barwick.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't play that much, but I played.
yeah. But I remember playing against him. You could tell he was going to be good, but definitely by his sophomore year, you knew he was different. Just his athletic ability was different than anything I'd ever seen before. And, then he brought kids along with him. I mean, there were some good players. I mean, there were some athletic guys but he just was different. I think he could have been an all-pro defensive back if that was what he wanted to do. Because he was that strong and that athletic at 6'1" or so, that I think he could have probably played a couple professional sports.
And then he goes on and has a great career. His last 3 years with you, and then he commits to Notre Dame, right?
Yeah, and then he leads them to 2 Elite Eights, which it's been a while now since so they led that in Kentucky, and it took I think Kentucky had a last-second shot or something to beat Notre Dame that year.
Yeah,
they were pretty close to the Final Four one of those years.
Was he always going to go to Notre Dame, or did Mike Bray just put the recruiting buzz on him early and wanted him early?
I mean, I think he was pretty open. Who Izzo is the one that Tom Izzo's really the one that was there all the time. And, I thought that would have been a good choice, but Braves showing Anthony Solomon was on him a lot. Who was the Braves assistant at the time, who was there quite a bit,
Yeah, and Tom Izzo really has done a great job of coming into Indiana.
Yeah, especially the northern part
and getting Indiana players. When I was coaching at Ball State, Rodney Holmes was a senior at St. Joe, just a really good player. Rodney had committed to Michigan State, and Dick Hunsaker liked Rodney, and he said, you got some connections there. See if you can get Rodney to decommit from Michigan State. So I hung out with Austin. I talked to Rodney. Rodney's older brother, Willis, was a couple years older than me. And Rodney did not make the grades to go to Michigan State. And Tom Izzo was going to send him to a JUCO. But we had a program at Ball State at that time called Prop 48s. And we could take a kid that couldn't make it academically. He could come and sit out a year, make his grades, and then play, have 4 more years to play. That's what Rodney did. And Tom Izzo tried to go back at him and say, Rod, man, I got this JUCO thing all set for you. Everything's set up, man. And Rod said, no, I'm going to go to Ball State.
Yeah. He had a good career with you guys, didn't he?
Well, he had a good career for a year or two. But then Willis hit the lottery. His older brother Willis hit the lottery. Rodney came into some money, and Rodney probably put on 20, 25 pounds over the summer because he could buy pizzas, man.
Yeah.
He didn't have any money to buy pizzas. But Rodney was such a wonderful kid, great attitude. Mom and Dad lived on Elwood there, across from Eddie's Enterprises, a little store, and I would always drive down Elwood, go to my grandma's house, and Mom and Dad would be sitting out there on the porch all the time. But
I think Izzo came in, also got a couple Hamilton Southeastern.
Oh yeah,
Gary Harris.
Yes,
he got back-to-back Mr. Basketball.
And Zach Irvin.
Yeah, he got both.
Yeah. He's done a good. He got the kid from Bluffton that Wayne Barker coached, the 6'8" kid, Adam Ballinger. Yeah, he came in and he's always done a good job of doing that. So he goes to Notre Dame, and then he has a phenomenal career at Notre Dame. And he gets drafted in the first round by the Celtics?
Second round
by the Celtics.
Jaylen Brown was their first round pick. Demetrius was their second round pick.
Yeah. And how many years did he stick with the Celtics?
Maybe a year or two. Never could really find his niche. I think he spent some time with the Sixers, spent some time with the Lakers. Just never really, really stuck.
Yeah, it's a tough.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about the best of the best, but he made some NBA money.
Yeah. I believe his first contract was, for a few $1 million a year.
You're talking about a 6'1", 6'2"
Yeah.
point guard.
Yeah, right.
Which
right.
in that world, that's short.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
he's got to be something special, or
Yeah.
he's going to bounce around like you said.
And now he's around here doing personal training out of Marion. He's probably there right now, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably doing training.
Really?
So he's probably
Really? A lot of your kids, or does he do other kids as well?
both. I mean, he'll do other kids, but I think Marion kids get a little special deal on the training, I hope. Yeah.
That is great, man. That is great. And then Canada comes in, Devin Canada.
Yeah. Then 2 years later, which really talking to him this weekend, Demetrius is the one that kind of brokered all that deal. He kind of knew who he was, and come to Marion. Let's continue. This
Yeah,
tradition.
let's play
which we
together. Let's do
started.
this. Yeah.
So yeah. And then he could really shoot it. Devin could really shoot the ball, and you had those two together with the kid who went to Cornell, and the kid who played in the White Sox organization. That was a really good team we had there.
Yeah, and then you had Michael Hemingway, right? Was Michael Hemingway on that team?
No, he's a little later. He's a couple years. He's more in the Jaden era. He graduated, I think, in 2018.
Yeah, I thought he was a really good guard too. I thought he was strong.
He's one of our 5,000 point scorers.
Wow.
And he did a lot of it driving to the basket. His outside shot wasn't that great, but for him to get 1,000 points is incredible.
And Canada goes to Princeton.
Goes and plays at Princeton.
And so academically, he was great academically then.
And
right?
he's a grad. He's a Princeton grad.
Wow.
So he has graduated from there. And if I remember, I was talking to Tim Priester from Blue and Gold Illustrated before I came here, and he had a shot to beat Notre Dame in the NCAA tournament. I remember I was teaching, and of course, I had it on.
Stop. You were what?
I was at school.
You were at school. You were at school.
Had the NCAA tournament on.
I get that all the time. Because that's him. You talk to these guys at Mishawaka, and they say, "What the heck's in the classroom?"
Hey, credit recovery.
I got teacher evaluations that beg to differ.
Plato,
Those teacher evaluations beg to differ. I'm just saying.
He's got paperwork to prove it.
Yes. So then, does Devin Canada get a shot in the NBA?
He doesn't get drafted. But he sticks with Orlando. He's with the Magic. He's in their G League.
Sure.
And he, at the end of one of the year, Orlando was kind of having a rough year, but at the end, he was scoring double figures.
Wow.
He's scoring at the end, and I thought possibly because then they drafted that Banchero from Duke.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And I thought, okay, he can add some shooting to the team. They're starting to get some guys, and then I think he went to the Pelicans. I think he played in the Pelicans G League, and he's playing in Greece now.
Oh, good for
over
him,
in Greece,
man.
and his wife's she plays for the Fever, the Indiana Fever.
I didn't know that. Who's his
I
wife?
knew you were going to ask that. She played for UConn. She's a 3-time national champion.
Oh, it's not Caitlin Clark.
No, but she plays.
It's one of the UConn girls.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
not 100% the name, but
Yeah.
But
That's really-
she was there as well.
It's Mrs. Canada now.
The other day, so or at the game. So
That's cool. And then fast forward to Jaden Ivey. And Jaden Ivey, now the story, and Jaden Ivey plays his first 3 years for you as an absolute star for you and really, really good. And then makes a decision his senior year to forego his year at Marion and play at Lalamere for a year.
At that time, going into his senior year, that's when, do you remember his mom went and worked for the Memphis Grizzlies?
Yes.
Right.
So she got an assistant coach's job, and
You didn't have
Jane
room
wanted to stay in the area.
You didn't have room in the basement or anything?
Well, we had found some people that he could have stayed with, but so he was kind of looking for a place where he could live.
That's a Coach Luce thing, isn't it? We won't go.
I will not throw Joseph Luce under the bus on this show because I know him. But go ahead.
Exactly.
No, and then they were looking for a place for him where he could stay. So she moved to Memphis, and he was looking for a place. So La Lemire was the option.
So I know that that hurt you so much from a standpoint of because you had a really good team coming back, right?
Yeah.
And you would have. I mean, you got to say it. I mean, you would have been a state contender with Jaden Ivey his senior year.
Well, we won the sectional his senior year, and that's when COVID hit. We never played any further.
That's exactly right.
So one of the few teams, I think 64, that ended with a win. We didn't end with a loss that year.
Yes.
That's right.
Not many people can say that. So, we won the sectional. Jerry Bracey, a kid who's playing at Embry-Riddle right now.
I remember a great driver.
Great driver.
Oh, God.
A great
And
driver.
he's starting down there. They're in the same conference as Rollins.
Remember him.
He's averaging about 11 points. I still follow all 8, about 11 points, 8 rebounds in the Sunshine State Conference.
Okay.
Led us to the sectional championship. We're at Washington practicing at Wednesday for the regional.
Right.
And that's when
They
it
pulled
all
the
came
plug.
down, everything, the whole world shut down
Said no
about
ball
that
game.
week.
Oh, that's
Interesting. Here,
too. That's
one of our
tough,
listeners
man.
says Katie Lou
Yeah.
Samuelson.
That's correct. That is correct.
Is-
We have listeners, but
Yeah,
trust me, we have
wow.
listeners.
So
Yeah,
at least you got
believe it?
2.
We're up to 2.
Two.
Yeah.
We're up to 2 listeners.
yeah. So then I know. When that decision first came down, and if that would have been me as coaching your team, and that would have happened, the best player leave, I know how hard that would be, and it's just a circumstantial deal. But at the end of the day, when you look at it from Jaden Ivey's standpoint, when he got out of La Lumiere playing against the great talent that he did, he was ready from the jump at Purdue to get in and play.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was ready, right?
Yeah, and I agree. But the only negative, you'd want to be 1,000. He would have been probably 1,500 poinds.
Yeah.
He would have been an Indiana All-Star, possibly a
Possibly
Mr. Basketball. Some of the legacy stuff. He made a
Sure.
decision that. How can you argue with the 5th round? The 5th pick in the NBA draft. You can't
Exactly.
argue it, but just you kind of think, maybe
What if?
just the Indiana history and the legacy that you might have had.
Yeah, and then at the same time period, or maybe a little bit later, I don't know if it was the same year, but Riley had a great player, Demezy Anderson.
Yes.
There was always talk about Demezy Anderson going to La Lumiere, and La Lumiere trying to recruit Demezy, and all of that talk. And Demezy elected to stay at Riley. They had a great team at Riley. They won the sectional, they won the regional. They get beaten in the semi-state by Carmel because they never scheduled to their level of play. They keep their NIC schedule. They don't play anybody like you do, and they're not ready to play Carmel. They get beat physically, but then Demezy goes to IU, and right from the jump at IU, he's not ready to play. And it was very obvious if you went to an IU practice or you saw an early game, Demezy really had a hard time fitting in. Now, some would say if Demezy would have had that year at La Lumiere, it might have made a difference to him. But Demezy chose to stay on the southeast side and stay in school and take Riley to wherever he could take him.
Yeah, and he ultimately was the all-time leading scorer in the county
That's
because he
right.
passed Demetrius,
Right.
who passed who? Who did Demetrius beat out for the?
Jimmy Webb,
No, I'll give you John Glenn.
John
Bruce Dayoff?
Yeah.
Bruce
he was
Dayoff.
the- for years, from like the 70s
Is that
until
right?
Demetrius.
Yeah,
How
He's the
do I
all-time
know
leading
that?
scorer in St. Joe County.
So do you want to know how I know that?
He's our
Because
age.
it's always stuck with me because my sophomore year at Manchester College, we're in the NAIA playoffs. We're playing Tri-State in the NAIA playoffs. Bruce Dayoff had transferred to Tri-State.
From North Carolina State.
To
right?
North Carolina State, and he's playing at Tri-State at that time.
Uh-huh.
And all of the talk about Bruce Dayoff and a little old Manchester College, we ended up beating Tri-State.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and Bruce Dayoff had like 25 or 30. But his story, and I always remembered, he was the leading scorer in St. Joe County
Yeah,
for a long time.
probably about 30,
Interesting.
40 years.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And then Demetrius, like a couple years later, passes Demetrius.
Yeah.
But again, to be fair to Bruce Dayoff, we've added a lot of games in high school basketball that he did. They played 20
20.
Well, yeah, no,
Yeah.
and the three-point shot, and the three-point shot,
and a
extra
3-point
points.
shot. Exactly.
Yeah, extra
Exactly.
points. I mean, if we'd had the three-point shot when I played,
Oh,
I might have got 2 more extra points. I might have threw 2
Would
in.
have shot a few.
Yeah, I would have tried a few.
shot attempts.
So then, after all, so when did they do the ceremony? Pre-game or halftime?
It was halftime of the varsity game.
Okay.
Which I feel bad, St. Joe, but a lot of the St. Joe people were clapping too.
Oh,
But as
sure.
far as the team, you're in the locker room for half an
I would
hour.
say it's a half-hour halftime.
Yeah, it's just like when you go to Penn, they always recognize
There's
the whole
something. Yeah, everybody.
everybody. So so it's there during the halftime.
Yeah, and as long as they know it's happening, then that's cool.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
That's no
But then
different
the-
than the 30-minute pregame Anderson had forever.
yeah. I never timed it, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I never timed it,
You just, I could never remember a game starting before 8 o'clock.
and I never measured where the a scorer's bench was in
Exactly.
relation to where the coach's box started and ended, because
Yeah.
That's a whole.
my-
That's a whole nother
the coaching
story.
box was at half court for Anderson's side.
That's a whole nother story.
Now that Indian Maiden thing was pretty cool.
That was
I'll
fun.
admit that. I never listened to his pregame speeches. I was always out
Out
watching
there
that.
watching that.
Oh,
Let,
yeah,
let
yeah.
me know when they were finished.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So
Oh, you guys are running out now? He's done? Okay.
So I will talk about this and spend 30 seconds on it. The other day in class, I always say, jump on your homework and blah, 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 and get your work done. And so one of the kids says, where do you get the jump on it stuff? I said, from Apache and the Sugar Hill Gang, Apache jump on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, the first time I heard Apache jump on it was the players at Anderson played that in the locker room before they were going out all the time. And then I played the song, and then I told them about the Indian dance. And so then I played the last Indian dance for them.
I've watched that on
That
YouTube
is
before.
that is
I
so
have
cool,
watched it,
man.
yeah.
That is so
Yeah.
cool. But if you watch it, because our last game was against Chittard, and our last game or the last game ever at the Wigwam was against Chittard, number 55.
Which I've watched that too. I've watched your speech. I've watched
Oh
that.
yeah, because we tried to keep the Wigwam open, and that was a great speech. It really worked, right? But so number 55 going through the layup line for Chittard was Zach Martin, who plays for the Dallas Cowboys and who
Really?
played for Notre Dame. Zach Martin.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Next time you watch it, look at number
Yeah,
50.
yeah.
He's huge. He's huge. But no, so then you get into the game, and again, you throw the records away. You tell the women and children to stay home because it's the Holy War,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter. Record this 12-8, 12-9, whatever it is. St. Joe 16-3. It doesn't matter because that game is always going to be a great game, right?
Yeah. And that one didn't disappoint. That was a pretty, we would have liked to won, but it came down to the end. And having gone through, I don't know, 30 of them, there's probably not in any sport. I don't know if anyone's been in more holy wars than me, but that was
true.
That was as good as a game as I've been a part of in
Right.
that.
That's
There
fun.
was a couple years ago in the sectional when Mark Johnson was the coach.
Yeah.
We had a couple free throws with point something on. You might have been doing it at
I was
Gymtown.
probably
It was
doing
at
the game-
Gymtown.
was at
Yeah, we were doing
Gymtown.
that game,
Yep,
yeah,
we
yeah.
sure
Yeah,
did.
yeah, that was a good game.
was a good game.
This one ranks up there as top 5.
Yeah.
in the Holy Wars.
Tie game, 8 seconds or whatever it was, and unfortunately you were on defense, right?
Unfortunately, yeah, they had the ball.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they had it.
So that was one of those whoever gets the ball last.
Oh, yeah, and somebody by the name of Konechny, right, makes a shot,
Yeah,
right?
he's not bad.
He's
Yeah,
he's not bad. Where's he go? I mean, what's the word on where he's going to go? Has he announced it yet or anything?
Not that I've heard. Not that
Uh-huh.
I've heard. I mean, he can go somewhere. He can play.
Yeah, no, I
You
think
know.
he can too.
6'4",
think-
5 kid that can shoot it.
No,
You don't
yeah.
like him?
He's not as tall as his brother, is he?
No, I don't think he. No, he's not. But he can score same ways. I mean, he can shoot it. He gets into the lane. He can score in the lane. And
All right, which Shrewsbury is going to be better? I wonder.
what's that?
Which Shrewsbury kid's going to be better, the younger one or the older one?
They both play about the same. I mean, I'm just looking. You're
Yeah.
thinking it's the
You're
Notre Dame
thinking
kid
it's a
out
mirror,
there.
isn't it? You're thinking,
Yeah.
hey, wait a minute, aren't you supposed to be at practice?
Yeah, exactly. Should you be up in the stands with your dad up
yeah,
there?
Go up there and sit, let's go back there where your dad is.
Yeah, well, and I'm not going to make any comment relative to that because I looked at the Notre Dame box score probably about a week ago, 10 days ago, and the Shrewsbury that played for Notre Dame was 0 for 12 in the game and still played 32 minutes. So what are you going to do, man?
Yeah.
If I was 0 for 12, I wouldn't play the next 3 games probably.
I wouldn't
So-
have made it to 0 for 12. I'd made it maybe 0
0
for
for
4.
Yeah.
And I'd be heading for there'd been a buzzer buzzing.
So when you break that game down because that's your sectional opponent, Washington, and I did your Washington game. You handled Washington. They had nothing for your zone, but Marion, St. Joe. I mean,
Now, Culver's not bad. Culver took St. Joe to overtime about 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
yeah, I couldn't figure out why. I mean, Culver's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, Mark's a good coach.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a-
Mark
he is a
Galloway's a
really
really
good
good
coach.
coach.
That matter of fact, that was on I saw that on tape. They had 3 free throws.
Yeah, to get the
tie
first
in
2.
overtime.
Yeah.
Overtime. Yep. I think that went overtime, didn't it?
It did, and they're down 3, and they foul the 3-point
Yes.
shooter,
Yeah.
and he hits the first 2 and misses the third. Yeah,
With like what? It was no
nothing,
time.
nothing.
Yeah,
There was no
he
one on the
by
lane or
himself,
nothing. He's all by
yeah.
himself. Yeah.
You're thinking, okay, the Logan Sport referees were at Culver that night, by the way.
Oh, geez. Oh, geez. All right. So as you watch the tape of the game or you look at the stat sheet after the game, what's the area in order to beat St. Joe that you got to improve on? Was it rebounding? Did you not shoot well? Did you turn it over?
No, we won every statistical category except 3-point shooting.
Really?
They made 8, we made 0.
Oh,
So they
there it
beat us
is.
24-0 in the in that category, and that's been a problem for us most of the year, shooting the ball. And they were 8 for 26.
But they shoot.
They shoot
they're
a
just the
lot.
opposite. They will shoot it. They're
Yeah.
not bashful.
Did Calvin Bailey play in that game, or was he still in?
He did not. He's still out.
Yeah, he's
Still out.
he's a really good. How about so that had to freak you out when you got a player coming in named Calvin Bailey?
That's what I'm thinking. I said, wait a minute, flashback.
Yeah, as a freshman, Calvin Bailey. What are we talking about?
Is this Calvin's kid?
Yeah. I knew he didn't have. I didn't think he had any.
Yeah, no. So when I hear that right away, I say Calvin Bailey sending his kid to play for Rob and Marion, man.
At least he knows the defenses, huh?
Yeah, he can shoot the ball for you.
Yeah, he's been out for about a month now. He got hurt after the Washington week, so the end of January. So I think he had a doctor today. So we'll see. He's been working out last week, a couple practices, and hopefully getting back for LaPorte and then the tournament. Hopefully,
You had a kid come into that Washington game, Gabriel something, 24
Joaquin
maybe.
Wilson.
Yeah, Joaquin Wilson.
Yeah.
Shot the heck out of it.
Yeah,
in that
he
Marion
scored 10.
game.
That's
Yes.
career high right there.
Yes.
Hit a couple threes early that were big to kind of give us a little separation.
Yeah. Sullivan's playing well for you too, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, we've got 3 guys that Deuce Owens,
Deuce
Prescott
Owens is
Horvath. And,
so athletic.
yeah.
And from day one to where you are now, Prescott Horvath has improved, I think, immensely. I mean, his ability to catch and go score. Day one, he was a screener. He was a screener at the top, and I assume that his post moves, working on his post moves, was a daily deal. He just got better, right?
Yeah, exactly. And today at practice, if we're not going to make threes, we put in 3 different sets to get him the ball down low because he is a factor. There's just not many people that are 6'9", 240.
Right.
I mean, that's just big, especially for the high school level.
And the game I saw when Jimtown tried to angle him a little bit on the post, and you guys were smart enough to get the ball reversal, and he just sealed the guy. They just threw the ball to him. He didn't have to jump or anything. Just caught it and had a layup.
And, we've worked on Prescott and Deuce working together, some high-low stuff.
Yeah.
Getting position. Was the main gist of practice today. I might not be very bright, but I can figure out where to throw the ball sometimes.
Yeah, and the thing that I kind of like about him now, he's chinning the ball. He's not taking it down. You're throwing it to him where his hands are, so his catches don't have to be tough.
Yeah.
He can catch it and then go.
And we worked a lot on post feeds and catching the ball today.
Yeah,
we're gonna be like Gene Katie with Jim Rowinski and Steve Scheffler and
there you go.
That group of kids.
Those are names out of the past, man. So
I saw Robbie he can catch the ball. It's not like and he caught some bad passes.
Yeah.
It's not
he'll
like
go get it too.
Yeah.
He'll go get it.
Yeah, it's not like you had to hand it to him.
Yeah. And he played tackle in football this year. They're moving him to tight end. So, he's got some decent feet. He's got some decent hands.
Well, if he goes and plays college football, they'll move him back to tackle, but okay.
Yeah.
But so now you got 2 left. You got Adams and LaPorte. Adams is just kind of just in the mid range, just middling around 9-9, 9-10, whatever they are. And I think LaPorte's better. But
I had 14-7 last time I looked.
Yeah, I mean, you could finish out 14-9, and then get a little momentum, and then get ready for the sectional.
Yeah, that's kind of the plan. That's what we can just work on, improving some things. We're getting closer. I think since game 1 we've gotten better. Our sectional is just always tough. It's down at Plymouth this year, and I just think we're going to be a tough out. No matter who we play.
Yeah, no one wants to see Marion on their side of the bracket.
Yeah,
that's
I hope.
sure.
I hope
that's the way I would look at it.
And the thing for me is we talk about Prescott. He's in the middle of a 2-3 zone.
Yeah.
So playing high-low for the other team or trying to get the ball to the elbows and look to score there, that's impossible because he's going to come up on you.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that shot off. And I'll tell you who has the same thing going now. Scott Cooper over at IUSB at Christmas time switched to a 2-3 zone.
Oh.
The reason he did it was because he's got Nick Mullen, the 6'10 kid from Chesterton.
Uh-huh.
in the middle of the 2-3.
And you probably have Petty on a wing who can
No,
shut down a wing.
You got Petty, and you got a kid named Sean Brown, a 6'7" kid from Detroit. Your wings, they stunt really good. And college basketball is tough to play a zone against because the shooters
Yeah.
are so good.
Yeah.
But his zone is the only zone that I think rivals you. And the thing in common is you got a big in the middle. And not a 6'3" big and 6'4" big. You got a guy that you got to change your shot to shoot over.
Yeah. You're just not going to shoot a regular shot
Exactly.
in the middle. And that's funny. So this last week, I thought our middle, he was coming too high. So, we wanted him to stay back and bring our wings higher.
Yeah.
And so we kept him back, and only on the turn was he going to come up. And we wanted our weak side guard to take it away. You don't want to start talking zones. We could be here all night.
No. So I think so many teams they have to jam that guard, and they're so quick to take that elbow pass away. I don't think you got to do that because there's a 6'9" guy behind it.
And I still say it. That's not an easy shot. I mean, a Konyeski, a Reynolds. But for most guys flashing in there, there's two people guards behind you. There's a 6'9" coming at you. That all of a sudden is not as easy shot as it looks. Everybody's sitting there saying, get it in the middle, get it in the middle. There's times we'll give that up. I mean, we'll come up and contest it.
Yeah.
Sometimes a wing jumps three is an easier shot when you feel surrounded by at least three people.
Yeah, and then I mean, coaches speak as let's go high low, but your wings dive to the block so quick that it's hard to go high low.
That's what we try to do.
I'm giving it all away, man. Anybody listening tonight? We're giving it away.
Yeah, but when's he had a secret? He just flat tells you. Everybody around here knows.
It's called huddle.
Anyone
right?
that ever wants to have. I mean,
There are not too many secrets.
Jimtown's been playing zone.
Yes.
So, Tyler's a good friend. And
Right.
we talk, over, because he asked, what'd you think of our zone, this, that. Now, see, I never had, are we really talking about it? A 3-2 zone. I always had trouble keeping it out of the middle.
Right.
When the ball was at the top. Now I could keep it out of the middle when the ball was at a wing.
Sure.
But I never liked it because people could get it so out of position. That's why I pretty much played 2-3 zone and 1-3-1 my whole career. But I thought his was pretty good. I thought his kept us on the perimeter.
He dropped his point.
Yeah.
His point, like you've got Deuce out at the top on your 1-3-1, and he's out there to basically make a ball reversal difficult.
Yeah.
Where they would take their point, I think it was the Jackson kid, and as soon as they threw it to the wing, he dropped immediately into the elbow.
Right. Yeah.
And they allowed the ball reversal, but he took that elbow away.
So we have, and I mean, feel free unless you got somewhere to go to stay on, because I got Phil Washington on now, the head coach at Lawrence Central. Who just beat Greenfield Central Friday night.
Saturday they
beat Ben Davis on Saturday night. Phil, you on there, man?
Yeah,
Let's get him in here.
Yeah.
There's
hear me?
Phil.
Can you hear us, Phil?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
All right, Scott, unmute him so we can get this going here. Hang on a minute. You can yell as much as you want, Phil. We can't hear you yet.
We've got to unmute you, Phil.
All right.
Scott, we cannot hear Phil.
Well, let's do a couple commercials
hear
here,
you.
and then Scott, try and work on Phil and get Phil unmuted here.
Medicare plans can be confusing, but they don't have to be. I'm Tony Letcher, licensed insurance agent. I can help you compare your options because I'm appointed with many nationally recognized carriers. With my help, you can find the coverage that fits your needs and budget. I don't want you to be my client today. I want you to be my client forever. Call Tony Ledger today to schedule your free consultation or visit tledger.com.
In times of loss, finding a place that offers comfort, support, and understanding is essential. At Hahn Funeral Home in Mishawaka, they've been helping families honor their loved ones with dignity and respect since 1976. With compassionate professionals who listen to your needs and provide personalized services, Hahn Funeral Home ensures that every detail is taken care of so you can focus on what truly matters. From traditional services to cremation options, Hahn Funeral Home is here to guide you through every step. For more information, visit hahnfuneralhomes.com or call 574-255-1474. Hahn Funeral Home, a family serving families. Looking to hit the road with confidence, Frick's Driving School in Mishawaka has been helping drivers of all ages gain the skills they need for a lifetime of safe driving. With experienced patient instructors, including Pat King, and flexible scheduling, Fricks makes learning to drive easy and stress-free. Whether you're a first-time driver or need a refresher, like heck, Fricks has you covered. Plus, for just $65, Fricks offers the state driving exam in-house. No need to go anywhere else. Visit fricksdrivered.com or call 574-256-0650 to get started today. Hey, we're back. I have to do a quick word for the Harbor Group. Planned Wealth. Are you nearing retirement? They can help you
How long have you
retire
gone till?
with confidence with answering your questions like what specific steps should you take before retiring? When can you draw Social Security? How do you manage investment risk?
go.
How much health insurance will cost if you retire? If you're over 62, how much moolah can you earn part-time without affecting your Social Security? And as they keep talking, I have to keep muting them so I don't have to hear them in my ears. And is it really possible to get a raise if you retire? They can have all those really burning, pressing questions answered. If you call the Harbor Group VP Jessica Rose at 765-393-1074, email her at jessica@harborgroup.com, or you can visit the website, harbergroup.com. Now, I think they can hear me finally. Here they are. It's Heck and King and John, and you guys need to unmute yourselves. There you go.
Scott, are you there?
Yeah.
Is Phil unmuted?
Yeah.
I think so. Can you hear me?
We need to be able to reach Phil.
Can you hear me?
Can you just call Phil, Scott?
I can hear you. I can hear you fine. Let me.
Scott says he can hear
The
me.
Zoom,
Can you guys hear me?
get this done
Can you guys hear me? Not still?
I can hear Scott.
because we can't.
We're having technical issues. I don't know why the problem.
All right. I'll call you, Coach.
Okay.
We haven't had this problem before.
All right, so listen, while we work on that, let's ask you this question here. This IHSAA transfer rule. Okay. Now I did a little thinking about it or reading about it. It's first time transfer is okay, right? Kid can be a senior, but as long as there's no undue influence, which is a real broad ass term,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
can transfer, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I had heard, and I don't know, but I heard it was after 5 semesters. You could transfer up until 5 semesters. So that puts you Christmas of your junior year. I could be wrong. I don't know what they're getting ready to vote on, but I don't know. It's
So House Bill 1064, the state representative is a kid named Corey Criswell, who played for who played in Newcastle when I was coaching at Anderson.
Huh.
I'm going to try and get him on next week, but he's trying to push a bill through that says transfers are okay. So now the IHSAA is trying to beat him to the punch and put their own bill in effect. And the IHSAA's bill says up until your senior year, you can transfer, but you can only transfer one time. And
unless you move, obviously, like you move from South Bend to Anderson, you get to play. But right?
yeah, but you can move across the street, and as long as as long as either school can prove that there's no undue influence, then the transfer will be approved. So the ability of coaches to have to go out and really recruit people and put their name on the line with the undue influence, you don't have to do that now. You can just say, hey, here I am talking to you at the park, nobody's around, this is what we have, you can transfer to Marion tomorrow, go ahead and do it.
Yeah, that's how I see it. And I guess I don't have a problem with it. I really don't. As a parent, I sent my kids to John Glenn to play baseball. I live in South Bend.
Mhm.
I sent my kid for athletic reasons to play baseball. We all get to a point where, things don't work out with a coach. I'm sure there's thousands.
Can you guys hear me
of kids
now?
that I wasn't their cup of tea. I wasn't someone they wanted to play for. Why shouldn't they be able to go somewhere and play where, I'm not even talking about college, somewhere where their high school career, they have a successful high school career. As far as I know, at Marion, if kid ever transferred out of our program, I was always for signing off. Let the kid play. I've never, I don't have a problem with this rule, or this law or whatever they're going to change it to.
did Robbie go to John Glenn his freshman year?
Yes.
Did you have to pay out of district tuition for him to go?
No, because the year before I would have, but the school board had just changed it the year before where you just have to get them there. So no, I did not have to pay any outside, anything like that. And be honest with you, John Glenn, his senior year, 7 of the kids on the baseball team lived out of district. So that's what I find interesting. Being you went to a Catholic school, I coached at a Catholic school. We supposedly get a reputation as we don't have districts, we recruit.
Yeah.
Come on. Maybe 20 years ago we could have had this argument. That argument is null and void now. You can go to anywhere you want anyway now. So there's no difference between us and any public school.
No, I agree 100%. Unless you're unless you're in Indianapolis and you're
Okay, that could
Indianapolis
be.
Cathedral. I mean, kids are flocking to Cathedral through the AAU programs, through Jason Delaney does a really good job, and he runs AAU programs for Indiana Elite. And so just those kids,
Can you guys hear me yet?
end up at Cathedral. So when you're talking about the bad rap for the Catholic schools, now the bad rap isn't for you. Bad rap isn't for St. Joe, but it's some of the other schools. We got you.
For a second you did, yeah.
I don't know what I'm
Now
doing.
I can. You might have to sit and hold it. I can hear you guys now through this.
Yeah. Well, can we hear Phil? That's what I wanted. That's what I want to get to.
We're working on Phil, aren't we?
Yeah.
Let's see if we.
Yeah. So
We're working on it.
the bad rap comes from some of the bigger schools, and it always comes in the Indianapolis area because kids are going anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah.
Before this rule passes, but now it doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's why we got to practice in the summer too, because some people were doing it. So now they just made it fair for everybody. Now everybody can practice in the summer.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on that,
Okay.
but
I think it was a rule.
Can
that
you
was
guys hear me now?
hard to govern.
right.
So they said, let's just do it.
And I kind of get the feeling with this rule too.
Yeah.
I kind of get that same vibe.
Well, and I
and
think
I
I
was
think
gonna
this
say-
they're trying to beat. Or the state of Indianapolis,
That's what I was getting
the
ready to
state
mention.
reps of trying to beat them from putting something else which might be stupid in.
Yeah, the rumor
Yeah.
we heard was some of the state legislatures trying to come up
To
with
the
something.
phone.
So the IHS.
Yeah, I got him on the phone. I'm on the phone.
Okay, we need to beat them to the punch so we can get it the way we think it should be before they do something stupid.
Yeah, that's what I had heard too. And that's this week, right? Didn't the IHS going to come with a ruling this week? They said?
It's very
They are.
possible. Yeah.
They are, yes. So anyway, will we see kids moving? I mean, do you think that all of a sudden you'll see kids moving?
I mean, I think there'll be some.
I can
mean,
hear it. I can hear
You're in a
everybody.
school and the coach leaves, possibly, those kids are going to look to go somewhere else. We've all coached. Just whatever reason we don't connect with a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think they should be able to go. Let's be honest, 90
Pat, can you hear me?
percent high school's it.
Scott, can you hear me?
Why shouldn't they have a good experience? Playing the sport that they want to play.
Oh, no,
I don't know. Maybe I'm getting old and not worried about little
Well, no,
things anymore.
What you told me the other day, we were talking on the phone. You said, "I'm just getting old." You're not old. How old are you? You're like 50.
56.
We're 69, dude. We're 70.
Thing is, he's now, I think, the veteran. You've been there longer than Chad, right?
In the NIC.
Okay.
Yes.
I can't remember. I don't know how old Chad is. He took over for Coop, right? In the early 2000s?
Yes. Chad is probably 3-4 years younger than me.
Okay.
But the oldest is Will Kotai. He's got me by like 3 months.
Will is?
Yeah.
He's got you by 3 months, for
Yeah.
2 months,
Yeah.
for the next month. I hate to say, I love Will. Will's a great guy, but things are not working out at Elkhart. And when you look at Elkhart, and you look at the numbers now, and you look at, man, they should have players. They should have players, but for some reason, they don't. The leadership isn't where it needs to be yet, and it will take time. I remember when it went down, when they closed Madison Heights, and now it was down to 2 schools, and we got the Madison Heights kids, and so you would think that, oh yeah, man, we get to play at the Wigwam. No, there was, there was blood between Madison Heights and Anderson, so it wasn't smooth. And then when Highland closes, now Anderson gets them all. And you would think, man, look, I mean, Highland had all these players. Madison Heights had all these players. Now all these players are at Anderson. And at the end of the day, 2 or 3 of them went to Pendleton, 2 or 3 went to LaPel.
That Liberty Christian, or was that?
Yeah, Liberty Christian. I mean, my guy Norman Anderson's the head coach there, and he's getting 3 or 4. But Anderson is back relevant again. And last week we had Donnie Bowling on the show. Anderson is now, I want to say they're ranked 5th or 4th. Anderson 3rd, maybe.
The new one will come out tomorrow. They're 5th right now.
18-3.
Yeah.
18-3.
And it's been a while.
It's been. I mean, I hate, and I don't say this for any other reason, but it's been since I left that they. I mean, Joe Nadline had a couple of good years, and when I say good years, maybe 14 wins, but they've struggled with leadership. They struggled in the athletic department. They struggled with a lot of things, but now it's finally to the point to where the kids understand it's just Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when the kids understand that it's just Elkhart, and it's not Memorial, it's not Elkhart, it's just Elkhart.
And see, Michigan City's never been able to get going either. And Elston and Rogers were powers. I mean,
there's too much animosity from
Yeah.
what I've understood over there. Just between the people still talk to each other about, are you an Elston person or a Rogers person?
yeah, it's been 20, yeah, at least, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, you had what? Palambizio, Delray Brooks, Charles Macon, the 66 state championship. I mean, Michigan City, I thought would be, a power. I mean,
Exactly.
they haven't been able to get it together in all these years.
That lobby they have out there with all the sports stuff,
Amazing.
it's fun to walk through there.
Yeah.
But they can't get to it. Let's take one more chance, see if we can get hold of Phil. Phil, can you hear us? You can hear us, but we can't hear you. Is that right?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Let's see
you.
if we can do this next week.
Hey, Phil, we're going to try and hook up with you next week. We have some kind of technical issue here, so we'll work this out and we'll get a hold of you next week. All right. And anyway, congrats on a great weekend last week to beat Greenfield and the Mullins kid, and then to take down Ben Davis. Man, it's your 2nd year there, and I mean, you got your guys rolling right now. So we'll get to you next week. All right, man.
Okay, sounds good.
Phil Washington.
Thanks, Phil.
So Phil Washington was an Anderson kid his whole life. Went to my camps. Just a great kid, but actually, ended up living in the Highland District, and had to go to Highland. But Phil and I mean, Phil was on my coaching staff at Anderson, and matter of fact, Phil had the Anderson job for probably like 2 months.
Oh.
And got jammed up in some things that he shouldn't have done, and lost the job. And but he's bounced around a little bit. Got that LC job. Was an assistant coach with Al Gooden at LC for 3 or 4 years. And
We went down there and played a couple times.
yeah, no,
North Central, yeah.
no, and that's what I admire about you when you talk about your schedule.
Can you guys hear me now?
Understanding what kind of team you have coming up, who you need to play against, and things like that. Because I always go back to the Riley deal when they had that great run, and they never went to Indy to play. They never played in any of those holiday tourneys. I mean, you playing a holiday tourney last year, I think you lose 4 games, and your team gets better.
Yeah.
You teach them, you coach them, and then you win your last 10 or 11, right?
I think 13.
Yeah.
Well, hey, 2 weeks ago, 2 Saturdays ago, the girls sectional, you had Jeffersonville come up here.
Yeah.
Do you know Sharon, or how did you guys?
He was
work that
looking for
out?
games, and
He was just looking for a game.
to be honest with you, I've just never said no.
No.
We played Avon this year. I think it's number
Right.
2 in the state.
Yeah.
They got Schaus
Drew
coaching
Schaus
that
is
team.
down
Yeah.
there. Sure, he's done a really good job there.
Yeah, we played Crispus Attucks.
Mm-hmm.
But
But again, you're playing Indianapolis schools, and Jeffersonville's down on the river. I'm just looking; they beat New Albany by 20 this weekend.
Yeah.
And so they're top 10.
They got
4A.
they're big guys going to. I mean, I think he's been offered at Northwestern. He was as good a player as
Is that
I've
right?
seen in a while. Yes,
Okay.
about a 6'8" kid. We stayed in it the first half because he got 2 fouls pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
But then the second half, he probably hit 6'8" kid hitting 4 or 5 threes, and
Okay.
he was legit. And they had a
Yeah.
point guard going to Wright State.
Okay.
So they're, I mean, I'd like, come out of the South. I mean, Sharon seemed like a nice guy, and,
Right.
their team was, just well coached, I thought. And, I think they can make run. I think they got beaten in overtime to Ben Davis in the semi-state last year. And I think they returned a lot of people.
They should be the best team in the South right now.
Yeah, they were good. They were as good a team as we've played in a few years.
Yeah. Well, and that's what you got to do. I mean, people always picked on me about, heading for Indianapolis because we'd play Carmel or we'd play Anderson or Marion, or we played Ben Davis one year, and they go, "What are you doing that for?"
Yeah.
So I just want to get our kids down, so they can play somebody different.
And if you got a good player, you got to take them down to the Indy area anyway,
Exactly.
I think.
Yeah, they got to see him.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And, it's a recruiting thing too. Let the newspapers see them. It helps with the college. That's why I always tried to get a game over in Fort Wayne, try to get some games in the region. If you could play in the Marion, Anderson, Kokomo area, do that. And if you get to Indianapolis, do that too.
And I don't know if I'll ever do this again, but over Christmas, we had 3 weeks where one Friday we go to Lake Central, Saturday we go to Kalamazoo and play in a shootout. The next weekend we play Friday at Martinsville, Saturday at Washington High School
you went to the Hatchet House.
Went to the Hatchet House and played Crispus Attucks. Then the following weekend we go to Huntington and play 3 games.
Boy.
That was a little much, but that was my Christmas.
Okay.
That was my Christmas.
Lord.
That might have been. I don't know if that was the greatest idea, but we got a lot of games in over that span.
Played in a lot of games. Well, hey, we probably need to shift gears here pretty soon. Maybe
we do.
College.
Yeah, we need to talk some college basketball here, and thanks for coming in, man.
Yeah, no problem.
We really appreciate it.
Well, we're going
and-
to see you this week because you've got him one game. I've got you Friday. I've got your Adams game.
And you got Laporte?
No, I do not. I have Mishawaka Adams.
You got Adams on Tuesday.
On Tuesday, and
I'll
then
see
I
you
have
Friday. Yeah, that's tomorrow, yeah.
I have Holy Cross and a doubleheader on
I'll see you
Saturday.
Friday night.
Okay. All right.
Saturday.
We'll see you
And,
Friday night.
stats are on Max Press.
Yeah, I know.
Before you both text and email me.
Okay. Yeah, but otherwise I'll get a hold of you.
The food at his house last week, Super Bowl, was pretty good. By the
Oh, you
way.
got an invite. Well, good for you, Pat.
Well, here's what
You're too young.
I didn't get an
You're
invite
too,
either, Rob.
no, you're too young.
Here's what I
I didn't get
found
an
out.
invite either, Rob.
You had to be 68 and over to get in.
Here's what I found out.
Getting there.
It was Monica's church people, and no one else was going to be there, so he invited me so he'd have somebody to watch ball games with.
There you go.
Yeah, and we didn't talk. You were talking to a couple church guys.
I did. I
God bless you, man. I swear.
I tried to do my best.
All right, man. Good luck to
All
you.
right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Okay. All right. See you.
All right, that's a great Robbie Berger, man. He's a coaching legend in this area. His father was a coaching legend, and spent his first couple years in the business with me at A-Town, and just had a blast. And went to Rollins University, spent a couple years there, and hung out with a guy named Calvin Bailey.
Well, the younger Barnheiser is down at Rollins right now. Yeah. Yep. Yep. The younger Barnheiser is down at Rollins.
All right, so
See you, Robbie.
we got Johnny Be Good with us today. We haven't utilized you enough, Johnny Be Good. Talk about some girls state tournament play, John.
We've had a great state tournament so far. We're up to the semi-state round. We did a couple of games down at the Caston Crater.
All right, okay. And here was my question to Pat when he told me that. It was a simple question. Why?
Why?
Why did you go to Caston? What's
Covered the locals use what?
Who was the local at Caston, though, that you covered?
Bremen. We covered Bremen.
Okay.
Bremen was there. Otherwise, we wouldn't have gone there.
Oh,
But,
okay.
shout out to Trent Taco, the AD there at Caston High School. It's a quaint gym, very small, great Hoosier gym. Great day of basketball. We covered both of those games, and it was a great day of basketball. We're down to the semi-state level, and I think you're going to help me on Saturday, aren't you, Pat?
Yeah, we're going over to LaPorte,
semi-state.
right?
We're going to go over to LaPorte. Did the Class 1A semi-state on Saturday. But I think the best game we've seen so far in the state tournament was Washington and Penn in that sectional.
Yeah,
they were at
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, that was a great game.
Now, I described that as a rock fight.
Well, yeah. So it was just a great defensive slugfest. Neither team could make shots, but when you're being guarded as hard as both teams guard, It's hard to make shots.
That's exactly right.
So then, what happened to Washington in their regional game?
Well, I think Warsaw really proved that they are going to be a tough out all the way down. They're the favorite now, actually, to win the state title in Class 4A, believe it or not. They're going to have to get by Hamilton Southeastern.
Southeastern's unbeaten.
Yeah, but you know what? Everybody say Warsaw is better than Hamilton Southeastern because of their schedule. We'll see.
Well, if that happens, they both have to win in the morning this coming week.
And I think a lot of people are hoping that would be a great matchup down at Frankfurt at the Case Arena.
Yeah, that'll be that's Blue Chips country.
You betcha.
Don't get me started.
No,
right?
I've said for years that Pete Bell had it all right when he said, I mean, Neon didn't even want a car.
Oh,
We gave him a car, but he didn't want it.
Here we go.
And Ricky, all he got was a tractor. He
Look what I started,
wanted
yeah.
a tractor. So John, obviously South Bend Washington is a South Bend team. Did one of your broadcast teams do the South Bend game?
Yeah,
regional?
they did. Yeah, we had a crew over there. Kiera Reynolds got in some foul trouble early, had to sit early in that game, which really took Washington out of their rhythm. And then Warsaw was able to kind of attack, use their three-point shooting and some of their interior game, and they just kind of pulled ahead, and Washington really was never able to recover.
Yeah, Washington's got 3 girls going to college, Division I. They've got one going to Winthrop, one going to in the MAC someplace.
Toledo. Then, of course, Kiera's going to Purdue.
Okay.
So answer me this question, because I've had some people tell me this, and I've not seen them, so I'm not an expert on it. When stuff doesn't go right for South Bend Washington, do they change their attitudes a little bit? Are they a little more selfish? Are they a little less caring?
Yeah, they and I hate to really say this, but they like to kind of just go into a shell. If something doesn't go right, they complain a little bit more. The attitude really changes, like, well, if I can't have what I want, then I'm going to quit. And they kind of had a little bit of a quitter's mentality in that second half against Warsaw.
They have trouble playing from behind.
Yeah, they can't play from behind. They're so used to winning games and being ahead, then they fall behind by double digits. They don't know what to do. And then all of a sudden, it just kind of all caves in a little bit. Then the attitudes change. And then sometimes I think you see some give upness by some of these girls.
Yeah, that's not a good trait.
No.
Actually.
And I saw Columbia City a couple weeks ago. They're in 3A.
Right.
And right now, if things work out right, you're looking at Norwell and Columbia City over at Huntington for winner of that will be in the
that'll
finals.
be a great game too.
So that should be a good game. You've got the other thing in the South. You got Cathedral still. Like Greensburg is 25-0, so they're looking good. But again, who have they played? Up here in our area, you've got the teams that we've seen. You've got Whitco and Eastside, which we've seen Whitco. We haven't seen Eastside. You saw Whitco the other day.
They have got some great shooters, and they play very solid defense. They're going to be a tough out.
But other than that, and then we're gonna look at the 1A stuff. So we're gonna see Michigan City Marquette, North Miami, and LCC, Lafayette Central Catholic,
and
Elkhart Christian. So those are the teams we're going to go over to LaPorte and see in the 1A. So that's the girls' basketball stuff that we know. Let's.
What about college basketball?
Let's talk. Well, do we want to talk about Notre Dame right off the bat? Do we want to talk about? I thought IU and Purdue had. I was all excited about IU in the middle of the week. They had a good game. They beat Michigan State on Tuesday night, and everybody, okay, they're getting ready to go. They had a nice game, and who was it? Mbako had a decent game. It was Goody had 10. Anthony Leal didn't do anything special. Oh, they brought in Malik Renew came off the bench and scored had a double off the bench, and they beat Michigan State on Tuesday, and then Saturday they don't play so well.
Well, they don't play well Saturday, and John can tell you this too. It's an audition for Mick Cronin.
Absolutely.
For UCLA, and here's the deal.
Yes, it is.
The last play of the game, they got the inbounds play, and IU's got a wide open player underneath the basket for the tie.
Right.
With 1 second left, but they elect not to take that. They take it out to they throw the pass to the 3-point line. Now they take an uncontested three, but they don't make it. And so what is your thought on Mick Cronin, John?
I think That would be a good hire. I really do. I think Brad Stevens is a stretch. I know there's been a lot of talk about Brad Stevens. I think that's a stretch. Why would you leave the Celtics, being the general manager of the Celtics, and not have to and come back to IU? I think that's an awful stretch. What about Dusty May at Michigan?
The answer to your question would be because he wants to coach.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be the
I
only.
still think that's a stretch, though.
The only reason that Brad Stevens would want to go to IU is he wants to coach. And maybe he's got that itch back. I don't know. Because the Celtics are going to. I mean, Celtics will win the championship again this year, won't
I'm sure
they?
they will. Oh, absolutely.
I read
they'll be in the
no.
finals.
Yeah, and he's not going to go anywhere else. Why would he leave and go coach the Timberwolves or come back and coach the Pacers when he's doing so well with the Celtics?
Well, because he wants to coach. If somebody came to you, you love coaching. So if somebody came to you and said, Pat, I want you to take this job, you would think real hard because you love to coach.
Yeah, that's a good point. I would listen to him.
And maybe he's at the point of his career where he wants to coach. But I know this point, the last time that IU tried to go after him when they hired Woody, he told him, no, I'm not going to take it, but you need to hire Billy Donovan. That's who he told IU that they needed to hire. And they didn't because Quinn Buckner and the boys got together with Scott Dolson and said, we got the guy for you, and it's Woody and blah, blah, blah.
What about Bruce Pearl at Auburn? That name has come up.
Does Bruce Pearl want to come to IU? Does IU offer Bruce Pearl anything more than he's getting at Auburn?
They would have to.
Well, and right now Bruce Pearl's team is number one team in the country.
Right.
Yeah, and I think the only advantage for Bruce Pearl to come to Auburn is he would have more NIL money to work with, because last year IU had the most NIL money of anybody in the country to work with.
That's a great point. And Dusty May from Michigan. You know, when Michigan came to Assembly Hall and beat IU, everybody thought that was an audition for him that day.
Well, and I thought
he took a low contract at Michigan. He didn't really get what, you know.
Well, I think Dusty May handled that really good when he said, I love being in Michigan, but he never did say no to the fact that he would come to Indiana. But again, who's got a better tradition going on right now? Who's recruiting better? Is it Michigan or Indiana? You're probably gonna say Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, yes.
So he's probably got a better job right now today at Michigan. But he might want to come home. He may want to say, I'm an Eastern Comet.
Right.
I want to come home. I'm from Bloomington.
He
man.
could almost live in his old house.
Yeah. So I don't know, but we do need somebody that's going to come in there. And I mean, IU they've already laid the groundwork on how to do it.
Yes.
With Curt Cignetti. They laid the groundwork.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
This is how you do it, because the IU football program was abysmal.
Oh, God.
I mean, worse than abysmal. And some people say, oh, it takes you 2 or 3 years. When you get to that third year, maybe you get everybody turned around. No, it took them 1 year. Less than a year.
Yeah, we saw that last night on TV too. The game last night with risk of jumping teams. Louisville comes in here to Notre Dame and beats up on Notre Dame with a coach that's in his first year, which is a whole nother topic.
Well, I mean, you just can't get into Notre Dame without, and I hate it. I hate it because I love Micah Shrewsbury. I know Micah Shrewsbury. I love him. I think he's a very good coach. I think he's a great competitor, but he did snap last night. Did you see the rant?
Yeah, I saw the rant and then the throwing of the microphone.
He snapped.
He snapped, and rightfully so. What upsets me is that these fans expect instant stuff right now. This guy's a good coach. You've got to give him time. Come on.
So
It's like the whole thing after they lose. The football team loses to Northern Illinois. Fire Marcus Freeman. Fire Marcus Freeman. What happened? They play for a national championship. Give Micah a chance.
So who do you think is agitating him more? I mean, do you think it's the fans that are agitating him?
I think so. When you see more red in that stand over at Purcell Affiliate and across the street than you do blue or gold or green, that irritates me.
It's true.
And that's what irritated him. Is when he even made that point. There's more Louisville fans in here. That's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. They've given up on him.
That's
You know, and don't give up on the kids, and don't give up on him. You got to give him some time. Now, after 4 years, okay, maybe you start that talk. You don't do that now.
Yeah.
These fans have got to settle down.
Hold that thought. We're going to take a break.
Okay.
Hold that thought.
When the time comes to say goodbye, you want a place that offers more than just services. You want care, understanding, and support. Han Funeral Homes in Mishawaka has been helping families honor their loved ones with respect and compassion since 1976. Their team of caring professionals takes the time to understand your needs and offer personalized solutions that reflect the life and wishes of your loved one. From traditional funeral services to cremation options, Han Funeral Homes is here to guide you through this difficult time with grace. For more information, visit hanfuneralhomes.com or call 574-255-1474.
Finding private health insurance can be stressful. What if it didn't have to be? I'm Tony Letcher, licensed insurance agent. I prefer to personally meet with my clients so I can get a better understanding of your needs and budget. I can even review your current coverage. I don't want you to be my client today. I want you to be my client forever. Call Tony Letcher today to schedule your free consultation or visit tletcher.com.
Looking to get your driver's license? Frick's Driving School in Mishawaka makes it easy with the Indiana State Driving Exam in-house for just $65. No formal driver's education is required. If you're 16 years and 270 days old, which is like 9 months, and have held an Indiana learner's permit for at least 180 days, which is like 6 months, you're eligible. Frick's provides the vehicle. Just bring a ride to and from the office. The exam takes only about 20 minutes, and you can walk out with your official Indiana driver's license, which we call it an operator's license. To schedule, call 574-256-0650 or visit fricksdrivered.com.
We are back.
So as we went to break, John, and I went, you know, and I get it. I get that you're saying give Notre Dame basketball, give them a little bit of a break here. You know, if it's in year 3 or year 4 and it's happening, then come on them. But when you see the losses happen, and it's kind of the same script. Notre Dame takes a lead and they play pretty well, and then they can't close it. They can't close it out. And my question, because you've done this for 100 years. I've done it for 100 years. And there are times when I would just straight up say it, man, my guys didn't play tonight. My guys did not come to play tonight. You know, all you fans that came, I will personally give you money back for that ticket because my guys didn't play. Now I get always protecting your guys. I get that. Mm-hmm. But I also get there are some times when your guys just don't play.
And I agree with that. And Dawn Staley is a great example. They just got waxed by UConn. Yeah. She came into the post-game press conference and said, my kids didn't play well. Well, this is not how we play here at South Carolina. She put it on her kids.
Did she blame herself?
No, she blamed her kids.
That's what I'm saying.
Now, I know she's going to protect her kids, and there's that tradition, so she blamed her kids. Like, we're going to fix this. Now, Micah needs to do the same thing. If this happens again.
At some point, I agree with you.
Okay, my kids didn't play well. We've got to fix this.
End of story.
End of story. Just like what Marcus said after they lost to Northern Illinois. We're going to fix this, and we're going to fix it now.
Yeah.
He needs to do that. Now, maybe he went a little overboard, but I think the fans need to understand you got to let him fix it. Whatever fix that is, he and his staff need to fix that. But don't throw him under the bus yet. Give him another chance. If this continues, then I think the pressure comes up, and then I think AD Pete over there has some conversations he's going to have. But I think that these Notre Dame fans, no matter what sport it is, can you imagine if Niele Ivey would take another loss or something, or they get waxed by somebody? That wouldn't happen to her.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, now right now they're ranked number 1 in the country.
I'm just saying that would happen. You know,
I mean, Hannah Hidalgo goes 0 for 16. She may say Hannah did not shoot the ball well tonight.
Right, but okay, that's fine.
We got that figured out. That's for sure.
Yeah. But I think that Mikey does have to take that responsibility and say, hey, my kids just didn't play well. We're going to fix it.
Well, and let's move to the other big school here in the area. Are we on a panic watch at Lafayette? They've lost 2 in a row. They lose Tuesday at Michigan, and then they lose a home game Saturday to Wisconsin. So, you know, here's the box score for Purdue. Here's a box score for Purdue. You got.
Yeah, I don't really want I want the standings of the Big Ten standings.
Oh, they're in there somewhere.
Yeah, I want to see the Big Ten standings because I want to see, you know, I mean, Purdue has played pretty good basketball this year
Yeah,
after losing.
I don't think
After losing the Player of the
they're not
Year.
on suicide watch in West Lafayette.
No, after losing the Player of the Year, and so when you look at the Big Ten standings, Michigan State loses to IU, 12-2. No, I'm sorry. The Michigan Wolverines of the aforementioned Dusty May,
Yes.
12-2. The Michigan State Sparties are 11-3, and Purdue is 11-4. So when I look at, yeah, you lose a couple games, but at the end of the day, you're 11-4 in the league, and you're still playing. Now, does he need to get the ship right? Sure, he does. And will he get the ship right? Yeah, because his guard Braden Smith didn't play very well. I mean, didn't play very well, and so yeah, he does need to get the ship righted a little bit. But and then there you go, right there. There's your standings right there.
Well, like I was looking at the Michigan State game. I basically, IU game, I called that a rock fight. In the Purdue Michigan game, the thing I had written down was Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer were 6 of 15 from 3-point range, and they did fine there. And then on Saturday they turn around and those two, I think between the two of them they were 2 of 6 from threes. And
Okay, so 6 of 15 is 40%.
that's good.
Yes.
And that was a close game. Now Wisconsin plays them at home, and they between the two of them they only take 6 shots, and they had Miles Colvin is 3 of 5 from threes, and CJ Cox is 3 of 6. Those two are 6 of 11, but they didn't take a shot in the Tuesday game. So all of a sudden, do you put the clamps on the 2 starters and say we're going to make these other 2 beat us?
I don't know. No, because those 2 players are players, man. Fletcher Lawyer and Braden Smith are players. There are times when you're not going to make some shots. And Miles Colvin, are you kidding me? He needs to be the outside linebacker for the Purdue football team.
No kid.
Like his dad, Roosevelt, man.
He's out of the slump now. At the Saturday game, Braden Smith did have 12 assists. You know, you got to give him that much credit there.
Well, he's a straight up point guard, man.
Yeah.
A really good player.
So he did other things. He couldn't make a shot, but he did distribute the ball well on that. Well, what I do with my paper? Scott, will you run my little Frick's driving school car? Because I need to give us our team of the week so we can kind of close this thing down.
Started, man. Pitchers and catchers, Johnny. I know you're talking Detroit Tigers right now.
Right. Yeah, I think the Tigers going to make some noise.
All right,
I thought the Tigers were going to get
down.
Alex Bregman. I thought they were getting Bregman, man.
Calm
I thought so too.
Here, my team of the week for the Frick's driving school. By the way, number 1 and number 2 played each other in the country this weekend. Auburn and Alabama, the basketball version of the Iron Bowl. Auburn's number 1. They go into Alabama and win 94-85. We mentioned Bruce Pearl earlier. He's got things rolling. Why would he want to leave Auburn when they are the number 1 team in the country?
Well,
and the thing I look to.
Can I answer your question?
Answer my question. Money.
Cash,
Here you
cabbage,
go.
flow,
You don't think they're
green.
gonna- you don't think they're going to throw him a few more dollars?
Well, sure they are, but
Show me the money.
obviously I said the number 1 NIL program in the country last year for money was the Indiana Hoosiers. Now, Mike Woodson's buyout is $8.4 million. And Mike Woodson has already said, let's restructure that to where I'll take $1 million for the next 8 years. Bobby Bonilla style.
Yeah. Well,
And so the
he's an old
buyout's not
pro.
going to kill them. So they're going to have money. I don't know what the South is paying in basketball for Auburn, but Bruce Pearl, he moves a lot. He was at Tennessee.
Yep.
He was at Auburn. He's not afraid to move. He may say, I want to come to IU.
Well, I'm just going to say, in their game the other night, they had 3 bench players in double figures, and I think last night Notre Dame had 2 points from their bench. And there was a game, Purdue the other night. I think their Saturday game they had 0 bench points. So evidently he's got
So
some
what is your
players.
point?
My point
He
is,
knows how to coach the bench.
my point is,
What the hell's your point?
my point is Auburn's pretty damn good. Okay.
I agree. I agree. They're good.
You're not going to rattle
I
me on
agree,
that one.
I agree they're good. But let me ask you this question. Okay, let me ask you this question. And I know John he knows this. Notre Dame's got 4 players coming in next year that are dynamic players. Jaden Harrelson coming from La Lumiere will start next year. But at the end of the day, they said the Mohammed kid who came in this year was going to play.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is he injured? Is he not getting clock? What's the story with Mohammed, John?
I think a lot of it is just not getting clock. I just don't. There's not enough playing time there. I think that's part of the issue there. But we'll see. But they keep saying that this class that Shrewsbury's bringing in next year is one of the best.
Yeah, no,
it's
it's top.
Never had. It's top 5.
It's top 5 in the country.
Yeah.
And will they stay? I mean, will they change their mind between now and when school starts in August?
Well, it comes down to this, Pat, because this is what I said. When I went to Manchester, this is what I said. I said, Coach, if I ain't starting, I'm departing.
Yep.
So if they're getting clock, they'll stay. Or I said, if I ain't playing, I ain't staying. And there wasn't NIL back then. You know what the coach said to me? You're playing, big boy.
There you go. Yeah.
You're playing, big
That's
boy.
what it is. These guys want time, and if not, we're going to go find a school where you're going to let me play.
Well, yeah, and I think the kids coming in to as long as the administration stays loyal and supports Micah Shrewsbury, I think these kids coming in and kids that are coming in today overall, they have this attitude that, hey, I'm coming in, I'm going to play, and I'm going to bring back Notre Dame basketball.
Can you guys hear me yet?
That's why the fans need to be patient. Let this work itself out.
I agree.
I think you do that and you bring this class in and they're a flop, fine. Let's go in another direction. But you've got this top 5 class coming in. They want to make Notre Dame relevant
Can you guys hear me
again
now?
in the ACC and in the national scope of things. Let's see what happens.
Well, and they've been in games, right? They've had leads late in games.
And they just can't hang on to them.
They just can't close them because they have 2 players that can close, Marcus Burton and Tay Davis.
Right.
They have 2 players that can close. And when the other team is playing late in that game situation, they know who those 2 players are.
They sure do.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree.
Exactly. So what else we got, man? Johnny, you and I talked about it for a minute.
Pitchers and catchers.
Pitchers and catchers.
I understand.
Chicago Cubs, Detroit Tigers. Javi Baez is going to play for the – he's got to play, right?
He's got to play. Yeah, he doesn't have a choice.
He's making $25 million.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's going to get a lot of plate appearances at $25 million.
So where's he going to play? Second base or shortstop?
I heard he's going to play second base. That's where they've been working him in spring training. He could play a little short, but I think they're going to put him at second base most days.
Okay. So did you think Bregman was going to end up a Tiger?
I thought he was. I thought he was going to be a Tiger. And was.
6 years, $171 million they offered him.
I would have said, where do I sign?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that didn't happen.
Yeah.
That was a shame. I was saddened by that.
Well, and that told me that right off the jump, he didn't want to go to Detroit because he had a great deal. He signed for 3 years, 120 in Boston.
Right.
And his former bench coach, Joey Cora, was in Boston. He knew some of the guys in Boston. I mean, the Cubs had 124, 4-year contract for him.
Yeah.
And the Tigers had the best money.
Yep. I don't know.
Well,
I was just really disappointed in that.
Well, I mean, you signed Jack Flaherty, didn't you?
Yeah,
Flaherty.
Yeah, but having Bergman, that would have been great.
I know. Just stop.
Come on, we'd be the leaders in the AL Central. Come on.
Oh, here we go.
Hey, well, yeah.
I got
We got the
AL Central.
We got the NFC
The
North
White
of football
Sox.
now. We got to get the
The
AFC.
White Sox, the Minnesota Twins,
Nah.
AL Central. Come on.
That's the Tigers division. Come on.
All right, man. I got you. What do you got in baseball?
I got nothing.
got nothing in
I know
baseball?
college baseball has begun.
Yes, it has.
I know in the southern part of the country that they are busy playing baseball right now. And I know my daughter and my wife are making plans for when the baby shows up here in April that the wife may need to be there because her husband is a baseball coach and he's not going to be home much here in April and May.
So wait a minute. There's a possibility that you'll be home alone?
Home Alone.
Card games. Let me know when the card games are.
Yeah,
Poker.
we'll get the euchre games going, right?
Non-alcoholic beer. Okay, get some non-alcoholic beer
Well,
for
that's
me.
the only thing you can have.
I know. That's what I'm saying. We'll get some card
Get
games.
some euchre games going.
Hey, boys, we are so sorry today for our technical issues. We didn't get to hear Scott's great conversation on his thoughts. We didn't get to hear the great Phil Washington, and Phil is great. I mean, hopefully we get this squared away and we can get Phil on next week. Maybe we'll go in the direction of a baseball interview next week and talk some baseball. And I don't know if we can get John on again next week. I know
I'll try.
You've just had some, situations at work and everything that you're doing. I know that. But by next week, I mean, you may be the interim superintendent.
I might be. I hope no. I would never do that. No, they ain't
me
gonna
and
pay me
Pat
enough
will
money to that. No, no.
Me and Pat will be coming to you to get your school board meetings. Yes. We'll be coming to you for jobs.
For anybody that really cares, next Sunday is the rematch. Purdue at IU is next Sunday.
And the boys' pairings are next Sunday as well.
For anybody that cares, Purdue and IU play next week again.
I thought you were going to talk about Jimmy McEnroe and Jimmy Connors. I mean, John McEnroe and Jimmy Connors, the rematch at age 72.
We're past those.
Okay. Hey, guys, thank you very
Might
much
be a
for tuning
pickleball
in.
game.
Thank you for tuning in. It's been a great show. We love when Johnny Be Good joins us on the set here. I wasn't too nice to you for a while today, Pat. I apologize.
You had a busy day. You've been down to the Hall of Fame and had to. You were important. See, turned down autographs, turned down interviews.
I am a legend in my own mind.
But just
trust me.
Just wait till the
But
ceremony.
he is a Hall of Famer. We got to start calling him a Hall of Famer.
But he's got to start being nice.
I
to
signed
me
my name
because
HOF25.
I'm gonna be back
Ron
there.
Nicklinsky, HOF25.
I'll be back
And
there.
a pillar of the community.
In that
I mean, you got a
Anderson
baseball?
table.
I'll sign a baseball.
No,
Monica
be
says
hooting
no.
and hollering.
Monica said no.
I mean, I'll sign a baseball. Ron Nicklinsky, HOF25.
The line is the line of a legend in your own mind. That fits a lot of us.
That explains a lot of my problems, right?
I've been accused of the same.
Yeah. Anyway,
Time to go.
tune in next week. Our sponsors are amazing. The Harbor Group, if you need any financial guidance, Ben Harbor and his group are phenomenal. And you talk about financial, Tony Letcher at Health Markets.
Right.
I'm fixing to go see him because I'm thinking I'm going to retire here. So I'm fixing to go see Tony Letcher. Frick's Driving School.
Right.
They are awesome.
The weather is affecting our schedules, but we'll stay tuned. We'll get the driving taken care of.
We didn't get a chance to hear the Black Sedan Band tonight because we had a glitch.
We didn't hear it. People at home.
I'm hoping they did because they are awesome. And until next week, we'll see you guys later.
That's right. Take care.
Peace.